because it would be better if we can go with some kind of a discussion where we can ask questions during the talk between me and Radek. Of course, if you can't ask during the live interview, we will wait until the end, and then we will try to answer the questions that will come afterwards. Today, we are going to talk about the art of tech leadership. So everything you want to know about the role of a tech lead. Hi, Radek.
Hi, thanks, Maciej, for the introduction. It's great to be here with you today.
Thank you very much. And just tell me if I missed something with a description of your person.
Yeah, so let me share you some insights about my journey with IT. I'm a very tech savvy person. I get some involvement from the from the PCs from the early days. Like I got my first Amiga when I was about 7 years old, and I instead of just playing games, I went straight to the operational system, to the file system, and try to break some things. And after a while, after a week or so, it got broken. But it told me there is something beneath, something under the surface here, and it told me that I should pursue that journey into understanding what is going on there. So I learned high programming in high school. I went to university to study computer science, but unfortunately I got bored with this all university stuff when I became a desktop developer. So I finished the studies earlier, and I became a web desktop developer, then web developer. Then I jumped into the bandwagon of the cloud movement, because cloud back then was a hype. So I also wanted to be a part of that. And then I've been involved in multiple different roles. So I was promoted to team leads, and then to development manager, where we as a guild masters oversaw the work of the whole department of development, like #Spotify model. And then I moved to the purely technical role of a solution architect, where I delivered a few systems for European corporations, and then I got some opportunity to become an interim CTO for a startup in the agricultural area. And it told me a lot about the different aspects of delivering software besides the actual development. So what you need to do to actually get some profits out of the company. Unfortunately, the startup wasn't so successful, so I had to move to another role. So I became a technical product owner, then another startup with being an engineering manager, some small episode with head of cloud delivery. Along the way, I delivered multiple smaller and larger gigs outside of this 9-to-5 job. So I was acting as a one-man army. I was responsible for business analysis, design, delivery, deployment, maintenance, and gathering feedback, and making this cycle once again. So a lot of different aspects of delivering software. And along this way, I came to the realization that I don't want to pursue somebody else's dream. So I contacted a few friends, I pulled a few strings, and I became an engineering consultant. And right now I'm helping Polish companies to deliver better products faster. And as I said, I have a lot of different experience from different roles, so it allows me to look on this role of tech lead from multiple different perspectives.
I told you guys that this channel will always try to invite IT gurus, and we have today the IT guru.
It's kind of funny to be called IT gurus, but yeah, let's carry on with that.
And Radek, can you tell me, or can you tell us, what was your first programming language? Because I think you did not mention it.
Okay, like my first programming language was probably VB Basic. Like I don't know if I recalled it correctly, but then I very quickly moved to C# because I was kind of amazed by the possibilities that you can do in this language. So I started creating these depth-to-go applications in WinForms, then WPF, and then in ASP.NET in web.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, so I'm more Microsoft guy also. Azure,
Yeah.
Microsoft, yeah, in my heart.
I know something about that. I started with C++, then I moved to C#. Then I saw that programming is easy or can be easy sometimes. And
Instead
then
of writing in C++, yeah.
yes. And then I shifted to JavaScript, TypeScript, and this world. So nowadays it's, I would say, half by half. So I wouldn't
Nowadays
call
it's hard to do anything around software without knowing and developing in JavaScript, TypeScript. So yeah, like unfortunately or not, everybody has to touch this area of knowledge.
That's true. But coming to the topic, when talking about tech lead, I think one of the most important things to start with is to describe the role of tech lead. Can you tell us more about this role?
Yeah, I will jump into this topic in a second, but first I think that it's worth establishing the definition and the difference between the role of a tech lead and the tech leader, technical leader, and a leader itself. My reasoning behind that is that the role of a tech leader and the leader is semantically a different thing, a different term. Like you can perceive them as they are like laying on a different level. So, like from my point of view, a leader is a characteristic of a specific person. So somebody can be perceived, recognized in the organization as a leader. And what comes with that is that more than one person within a team can be a leader, because they can be leaders in different areas. And also you have leaders between different layers of the organization. You can have leaders as software engineers, leaders as technical leaders, leaders as managers, as C-level. And on the contrary to that, technical leader is a role, is a position within a company that comes usually with a predefined set of responsibilities associated with that. So you are like either like assigned or hired to be a tech leader, and what comes with that is that you have usually, but in almost all cases, a single leader for a single team. So when you get this, when you have this all definitions, you could assume that role of a tech lead, from another perspective, the leader is a superset of a tech leader. So all tech leaders should be leaders, but not all but not all leaders are technical leaders, because not all person who are perceived as leaders have this specific role in the organization.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with you with that. So for all these years, I saw that this clear definition of tech lead role is almost impossible. So I remember that I was once acting as a tech lead, software architect, and integration expert. It was one role. Funny thing, it was called like tech lead, but still there were so many different responsibilities that were in this role. And on the other hand, there was a time when I was just acting as a tech lead, and it was more or less like being a tech lead in a development team and not going outside of it. So no integrations, architecture was of course done by entire
the role of a tech lead is very different. It is like adapted from a perspective of a business environment, from the people that you have in the particular organization. So probably it's really hard to define a single set of responsibilities of a leader per se. What we can do during our podcast here is to try to aggregate different areas of knowledge, different books, and to come up with some like baseline of responsibilities that have to be adapted to your specific needs that you have in the organization. Discussing the role of a technical leader, responsibilities around that, is worth to start with mentioning the work of the leaders in our area. It's worth starting with the materials, with the recognition of people who made all the work to gather all this information together. So I want to mention here the work of the Will Larson as a staff engineering book, Patrick Kua's book about tech leadership, Google's book about like software engineering. All of these materials are really a great foundation for a set of responsibilities that we're going to discuss here. So if you want to get... Yeah,
we will link it in the description of this movie as well, so you can find it then on YouTube with the.
Definitely. Yes, you will find them in the below. I or Matthew will share the links to the materials. So what I want to do here is to aggregate all this knowledge into the 5 main responsibilities. And as I said before, like, please treat these responsibilities not as a carved in stone, but as a baseline for a discussion. We can disagree on some points. Maybe we can add some additional responsibilities here. I think it's worth like discussing them. So if you have any ideas and points from your perspective, please write them in the comments, and we're gonna discuss them shortly here. Okay.
Cool. I think that one of the most asked questions are if I am the top specialist in my development team. So I am a top programmer. I am solving always all the hard issues. What is the difference between top specialist and a tech lead? Is there any?
Yeah, I would say that like being a top specialist within a team makes you a very good like senior developer. So you deliver the particular part of projects from a development perspective. You deliver it with the high quality, with proper architecture. What goes with the responsibilities of a tech leader is everything that goes like outside of the single like programming unit, outside of this part when you only get some requirements and you put it into the production. So technical responsibilities are more about what is going on around the team that should be done to actually make a change with, like, for our customers to deliver a product, not only a solution, not only a code into the production. So I would say that first and mostly disliked responsibility of a tech leader is a cooperation with stakeholders, with the business, and it's usually disliked by strong software engineers because it requires skills that aren't taught in the process of becoming a software engineer. So you are not. You don't have usually such a possibility to learn skills like communication, like empathy, like conducting meetings, arguing, discussing trade-offs. Like these are the skills that are required to cooperate with stakeholders. At the same time, like usually when you are a typical software developer, you don't have enough options to really learn them. And unfortunately, like from the perspective of a team, there are a must, because your role there is to cooperate with your stakeholders to provide them with the high quality information about the technical aspects of your solutions. So at one side, you need to cooperate with them to provide them with this information, but on the other hand, it's like there are not so many places that you actually learn these skills.
Okay, why I'm asking is because I had such a situation in the beginning of my career where I had a tech lead, or maybe he was not my tech lead, he was a tech lead of the other team that was sitting on the same floor, on the same open space. And I remember that this guy was really great technically, but he was lacking a lot of soft skills. Do you think it's a common thing in IT that people who get promoted to these tech lead roles are lacking of soft skills, or what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's the common situation, but at the same time, companies do not recognize, companies don't define this role of tech lead as a role that requires these communication skills. So, of course, okay, you will cooperate with stakeholders, but they don't have this option to teach you, to send you to some program about communication skills, to quickly cooperate, how to work with different stakeholders. And unfortunately, at some point you require the skills to manage these stakeholders, to cooperate with them effectively. I think that's like the first point that we can do here, besides actively engaging with stakeholders, is to read materials and books that are connected to cooperation with stakeholders from the perspective of developer. The great book is about that is Empowered by Merti Kaigan, that describes the role of a technical leader, let's call them technical leaders, from a perspective of from the business perspective. In that way, you will learn what are the different the bits of responsibility that are associated with cooperating with stakeholders. Because from the perspective of a tech lead, you really need, there is a need to have somebody in front of our team to discuss different aspects of the solution on a business level. At the same time, there is hardly any option to learn these skills in organizations.
Okay, yeah, that's true. This is my observation as well. What I am thinking of is, let's say, you described a bit this role, and you maybe have a possibility to become a tech lead in your organization, but you really don't want. But on the other hand, you are already a senior software engineer who deals with code for many, many years, but you don't feel well if you think about the role of tech lead. What other alternatives do you have?
I would start first with describing whether the role of a tech lead is connected with managing people or not, because I think that we can go in two different ways here. So in some organizations, tech lead is also associated with being a supervisor of the people that you have within the team. So you conduct one-to-one meetings, you discuss the performance of your people, you give them feedback, etc. And in this scenario, you are sometimes called as team lead, as a tech lead manager, as delivery manager, depending on the situation in your company. So in this way, you are forced into learning managing people when you want to go into this role of a tech lead. At the same time, in some companies, there are two paths to be promoted in the company and to develop yourself. So one path is associated with managing people, and you become engineering manager. So you are responsible for the delivery, for the organization of work, for managing people. At the same time, there is a path of individual contributor where you are responsible for the initiatives across teams. Helping, navigating different projects that you have across the divisions of the company to act as a thought leader in the company. And this path is called individual contributor path, because you don't manage people there. You act as an individual contributor, and you don't and you don't have people to supervise. So this path could be more like valuable for people who are not into actual managing of people.
What about the role of software architect? How would you compare these two roles?
Okay, so like that is a like interesting bite to mention here about the role of the software architect. I would say that nowadays in the product in the technology-based product companies, there is no role of a software architect per se, because we want to empower teams to actually make architectural decisions. Because of that, this role of a tech lead is actually translated into a role of a tech lead, of a senior engineer within a team. And outside the team, you have people who are not like pushing some designs from this so-called ivory tower, but rather work across the teams to make sure that that teams comes into the common direction. And that's why in most like these popular companies like Microsoft, like AWS, like Airbnb, etc., you have roles like staff engineer, like principal engineer, but not software architect, because making architecture decisions is assigned within teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my observation as well. So this is some kind of a role that is maybe it is still existing, because it still exists in a lot of companies. But yeah, I would say that we are at the dawn of software architects. By the meaning of
this role is changing, is adapting to the nowadays situations where it's much easier to make a change and to revert that change. Because of that, you don't need to make such a big upfront decisions designs. So you can really push this responsibility to the teams, and you can either you would like to either navigate them or just let them alone with that process.
Yeah. What I find something cool is that you can, as software architect, and you should always have this hands dirty with your code, with your team, together work on this architecture. Of course, you have some expertise in software architecture, so you can help your team, you can support, you can maybe not point to a direction, but show a path which we can follow, validate it with the entire team and so on. But it's good that it shifted from this ivory tower to really be there inside a team and work together with entire team on what you deliver.
Yeah, and I think that you touch the second responsibility of a tech lead within a team, and it's associated with the fact that within a team, tech lead acts as a software architect, because he or she wants to be hands-on on actual work, and wants to be responsible for making this design, these architectural decisions happening. So it's not that you push within the team this design from yourself, but you rather make sure that people understand the trade-offs, understand what is the desired architecture that you want to pursue, what are the patterns there. You improve the knowledge within your team about these decisions that you want to make, and also discuss the risk associated with the steps that you are going to make. Because some risks we are willing to make, and some risks are just too big and can endanger the whole project. And because of that, we can discuss whether we want to conduct some proof of concept, make some spikes to check some technical aspects of our solution. And we as a tech lead make sure that teams understand what kind of trade-offs and risks they are willing to make.
Okay. And let's say I decided, so I am the software engineer, and I decided that I want to become a tech lead. What would be the first steps to make?
So I think that the first step to make, and it might be, and it may sound kind of like the strange to a lot of people, but I would say that first step is to actually get to know your stakeholders. Because if you know your stakeholders, you understand their needs, their position, how they are measured. You will get some greater insight about why we are delivering particular solutions, and based on that, you will be able to provide information to them about the specific ideas that you want to put into production, and based on this cooperation, you will learn a lot about the actual. I heard this term corporate kitchen, like how the sausage is actually made in the organization. So it will allow you to be much earlier in the point of like delivering software and to actually understand why specific decisions are made. And because of that fact, you will be able to react. Then you will be able to help these people, because usually in most organizations it's not like that they build a wall and they don't want us there, but we are just not eager to go and to contact them. So I would say that first step is actually understand your stakeholders, get to know them, and based on that you will be able to build your solutions in a better way.
Remember, guys, always meet your stakeholders, try to talk with them, try to talk about the product that you built. This is the first step to become a good tech lead.
Yeah. And maybe let's add another point here, like what is worth doing in the journey of becoming tech lead. I think it's worth trying to lead a whole smaller project, maybe some smaller solution from the beginning till the end as a whole. So based on that, you will learn what are the steps that actually are done to make a change in the production, maybe change the customer's life. And you will learn that there are a lot of smaller bits that needs to be managed that you don't see usually, because you focus on a delivery of a code, not of the whole solution, not the whole functionality. So we learn a lot that this needs to be done to coordinate specific functions, discuss the dependencies, cooperate with different teams, how to actually like deploy it in production. Sometimes there are some, I don't know, like flags, there are some scripts that needs to be run, and you don't care about it usually, because you just like click push and okay, this is somebody else's job. So I think it gives you a lot of perspective on the overall work, and only then you can become a full-blown tech lead if you understand what is going on like there from the beginning till the end of the delivery process.
Yeah, completely agree. I receive these questions quite often. So how can I become a tech lead if I am just a developer and we have no role of a tech lead inside our organization? Of course, the easy part would be just, hey, just change your job. Yeah, this is the easy part.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can act. Of course, it's not official role. You don't have it signed in your contract. But if you are a senior software engineer and you want to try it out, how to act as a tech lead, you can do that as well with this unofficial role of tech lead. And quite often it's really natural one. So sometimes people are afraid that what our team will say, what my team will say if I become their tech lead. And usually there is nothing to be scared of, because this team is already treating you as a tech lead, and just becoming an official one won't change anything. They will still respect you. They will still find it useful to work with you and fun to work with you and so on. So this is something that you can try out as a software engineer. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Maciej. Here, I think that the best option to start there is to making these small leap jumps to actually become this person at some point without having this strong assignment of overall tech lead. What is really interesting is sometimes this role will grow from the organization, from the bottom up. That you will have specific people that will, for example, lead specific projects, but from the delivery perspective, we're gonna mention it in a second. And because of that, the company will recognize that we need this role, and this role will happen, but it will come from people like you who will be recognized as leaders, as technical leaders, without the strong assignment from the organization itself.
Did it happen to you?
Not in my case, because in my company where I was promoted to team lead, this role of a team lead was already defined, and I would say that it's I was kind of lucky to be in a company where first the role, it was clearly defined, but also there was a whole path how to become a team lead. So there was a series of training, there was this mastermind program that helped people become team leads. There was some smaller assignments at first to be a leader of a smaller team, to actually learn on the job. A lot of people don't have this opportunity, but it's not the but in such situations you don't need to be afraid that it's not going to happen, but it requires some effort from you to actually start doing it without being assigned to the actual role itself.
Okay, so now the question: entering new company as a tech lead, so you are coming to a new company versus you are promoted to tech lead in existing company. Is there an easier way to handle it, or both ways have its?
I would say that it's always easier to be promoted within the company than change a role and to become a tech lead in another company. And my thoughts behind that are that from the perspective of a person who is a recruiter, from a hiring manager, when you see somebody who is who sends a CV to a position of a team lead, tech lead, and they don't have this role within their experience, there are multiple situations where you would be just very quickly crossed out because they don't have this opportunity, so just remove them from our list of candidates. So I would say that it's much easier to be promoted within the company and even to be recognized as a tech lead without the actual title. It's still okay to be such a person in the organization, to learn how to design solutions, to lead the delivery process, maintain quality, and then try to apply to a different company rather than just apply without this knowledge.
Mm-hmm. We received first question, Radek. So this is some LinkedIn user who is asking if we can introduce some references like books.
Yes,
yes, we will. We described it in the beginning. We talked about it, and we will put it into the description of a YouTube video. And maybe if we have some time, I can take it and put it as well here on LinkedIn. What is this book?
Yeah, but if I have 1 second to just share something, start with this book, Staff Engineer from Will Larson. I think it's the best introductory book in this topic. And later on, you can move to the two different ones that we'll discuss and will provide below the video.
Okay. I just added first link that I was able to find. So here it is. Probably it's too long because it's divided into 2 parts. But yes, mentioned we will.
Yeah, like there are a lot of additional stuff that you can dive into, but I would say that this, like, there is a difference between reading about specific patterns, specific actions, mind models, mental models in books, and actually know how to apply them. So, like, even if you read all of the books that we will share here, it's still only the beginning, because then you will have an actual project to lead, about what and different people within your team. Never you will have a best team, a best opportunity. So there are always some fallbacks. There are always some problems along the way, and unfortunately you just need to start the journey.
There is another input from Pavel that there are many books already on the screen, so maybe a session going through them. Look, Radek, we need probably to organize another live session where we can go through the books.
To be honest, like, once a time I had this session with it's hard to recall this person's name right now, but we organized this book club to discuss specific books. And if you like, I can jump into this podcast once again to discuss a specific book, like from this library. So if you want, like, call me, Maciej.
Good. Yeah, I will think about it. Thanks, Pavel, for your input. And yeah, we talked.
Yeah. Carry on, Maciej.
No. You wanted to say
something. Because, like, I think that it's worth, like, discussing this main responsibilities. We've already shared two of them, so cooperating with stakeholders and designing the solution. But there are, like, three more that are worth mentioning within our discussion here. And the third is associated with the fact that it's not only to have some idea to have a production, but also we need to develop it, deliver it into this production. And what is the role of a tech lead also is that they act as a delivery lead. So they also cooperate the team to actually deliver this idea into the production. And what comes with that is that you not only manage the specific team, but you also manage all the dependencies across the team. So sometimes there is work required from another team, another product team. Sometimes you need to contact marketing team, translation team, some configuration people, SRE from the infrastructure perspective. So all these things are needed to actually deliver something into the production. And if we work as a typical software engineer, we just click like deploy, and that's all. But then there are a lot of work that needs to be done to actually run it, actually start in the production. And as a tech lead, you need to understand that, and you want to avoid such a situation when, like, you delivered something, but you need 1 month additional work to actually run it into our production, because without that, you delivered something, but it doesn't provide any value. And I would say that it's a failure, because, like, you deliver something, but it doesn't provide value. So, like, from the product perspective, it's a failure, even though from the delivery, from the software perspective, it's a success. And tech lead is responsible for the whole process and needs to oversee it as a whole.
Okay, so do I need to be the best programmer in my team to become a good tech lead?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I would say that you don't need to be a best, because, like, it's really hard to describe what the best really is.
Radek, the guy that everyone goes always to and asks this tough questions, and hey, do you have a minute? Do you have 5 minutes for me? And so on and so on. So this is this guy. I don't want to call him a silo, but
But he acts as a silo. Okay,
He
I get
acts
it. Yeah.
always as a fallback. In all the situations, hard situations, he's a fallback. But I mean from the programming
But it
perspective.
depends on what kind of fallback it is. Do these people call him or her because they have the technical questions, or do they have all the questions around the software product that we're trying to deliver?
Technical ones.
Because if you have a technical ones, as we discussed here, the role of a tech lead is associated with additional areas that needs to be handled to actually deliver the product. So if you want to be a tech lead, you don't need to be a strongest person from a technical perspective. It's worth having a one strong area to be focused on, for example, like backend, front end, some database perspective. But then you need to have like the broad knowledge of the whole product area that you deliver. And you don't need to be an expert in every of those of these fields, but you need have such an understanding that you will be fluent to discuss these topics in various roles in the organization. So with stakeholders, but also with product owners, with people from UX, from quality assurance, from infrastructure perspective, and this point of view shows you that the role of a tech lead is not strictly associated with the excellence in the technical area, but in the whole product area. So like it's kind of like the system of work. You don't need to be expert in the single field, but all of these fields connected together build something much greater. And because of that, you don't need to be an expert in each field, but what comes after combining them, it's kind of higher than all of those smaller bits alone.
Why I'm asking it is because I always feel best when I have greater developers in my team, better developers than me. And this is something like relief that you have these people there, and you can always base on those inputs that they give, on the challenges that they are making, and so on and so on. So this is great. This is personally for me, this is one of the most important things. And then
I can jump for a second here. That I think it's an anti-pattern to perceive people who are better than you in a specific area as a threat, as a opponents. Rather, you should treat them as your like safety net, as a people who you can rely on to actually deliver better products. So like you should cooperate with them to share knowledge, but some specialization is needed within the team. You won't have a sound knowledge on every area because it's like almost impossible. So you should like treat these people who are like better in this technical aspect and specific aspects of the living solution as your friends or your teammates who will let you be a better tech lead as a whole within the team.
I really like the term that you used, safety net, because first thing that I thought about was something that I can't probably say, because my episode might be filtered, because I was thinking about something that starts with A, and in general it's something saver, not a safety net. But yeah, okay. I really like the term that you used, Radek. Good. And from the perspective of the knowledge of the tech lead, because we talked that it has to be a combination of technical skills, of soft skills, of product knowledge, and
like
processes.
Organizational, process-oriented one.
But do I need to have an answer to everything? Is it truth or myth?
Like I think like it's worth like having this answer, but of course like you are not able to answer all of these questions, and because of the fact that you are not competent in all areas as an expert. So like from the perspective of a tech lead, it's okay not to know, but it's a very bad trait to boast like knowing this knowledge, that you like fear that people will perceive as a person who don't know, and you will try to come up with some examples, some answers based on like just made up these answers. So like from the perspective of an effective team, like there should be this psychological safety that you can say loudly that you don't know something, and people will help you achieving this knowledge, will support you in like delivering specific part of the solution. So without this psychological safety, you, but also different people within your team will try to will be working in a way that will spend too much time on gathering this knowledge, contact people like outside of your team, not only to show that they don't know something, and like it's okay to not know something, especially within the team that you cooperate very deeply.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about skills or the attitude, how can I make sure that I become an effective leader that my team will trust me?
Oh my God, like this is a very difficult question. Let me give a second. So how to make sure that you are an effective leader? So like the first like question that comes to my mind is only like ask your team how they will measure, how they will evaluate you, and based on that you will know what they expect from you. And so like it's the way of, somebody could perceive this as an avoidance of an answer, but I would say that is the answer that is ultimately about expectation of people, because to be an effective in somebody's eyes, you need to understand what's the effectiveness about. And from different perspective, from different roles, this effective will be about different things. So like from the perspective of your colleagues, from different software engineers, from the quality assurance people, from the product managers, product owners, these questions will be different. And I can come up with some ideas here, but my foremost advice here is ask your team how would they measure you in this position.
So the worst thing that you can do is not to ask questions.
Yes, because in that situation you will optimize for like doing things that wouldn't be so like important, effective from a perspective of a team. So for example, you would focus so much on an architectural bit, on trade-offs, patterns, etc., and your team would require some guidance over delivery, over like solving bugs, and you would leave them alone because you would think that okay, design and architecture is the most important thing, right, from my perspective.
Yeah, I remember that I had such situations where junior developers were coming and they were just saying, hey, it would be great if we can do it that way or so. And I remember that from perspective of a junior developer when I used to be one years ago. And I remember what was the input from tech lead at that moment. And it was like, hey, man, shut up and do your thing, do your stuff.
Great advice.
Exactly. And I remember that at that point in time, I thought, no, I don't want to be such kind of a tech lead. So for me, it doesn't matter if it will be an input from a junior, from the intern, from senior, from other tech leads. It doesn't matter. The input really counts.
Yeah, this input, these questions really matter. And like by asking this question, you'll understand that like from a role of from different roles, you would have different expectations. Like from a role of a junior developers, probably you will have questions about sharing some knowledge, sharing some mental models, how you make specific decisions, how you value specific trade-offs. From a work of a senior developers, probably they would need some more structured help, or they don't even like require help. They require some mentoring or some coaching, so asking better questions, because they know how to do their work, but they sometimes have some doubt. So they would really need somebody to act as a rubber duck here. Yeah, so like to just discuss some ideas. From a perspective of a product owner, probably you are responsible for the delivery and for the quality. So they expect from you to manage the delivery and to deliver the product that is maintainable and it's contains the quality attributes that are like described by stakeholders. Like from the quality assurance people, probably some different questions. From user experience people would be a completely different story, because, for example, they would like to not to have so many changes in the UI layer, because like it generates them too much rework. Yeah, so we could ask them, okay, so how to manage team to cooperate deeper and not to create such a rework, like from our perspective, from their perspective. So like asking, starting with these expectations, I think is crucial to really define an effective tech lead within the organization.
Yeah, nice input, Radek. Very nice input. I really like it. Yeah.
Yeah, now me too. Like, to be honest, like I just came up with that. Like, yeah, like it's kind of funny that like sometimes you don't have a straight answer, but you just like you are thinking about some area, some topic, and you just create something on the fly, and then say like, wow, like it's really interesting. I should write it down. Yeah, so like I think that maybe I should write it down as well after this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you will as well write down something else, but
yeah, you need to run some AI to create transcription from this video, so like, it will be much easier to like just go through it. Yeah.
Hey, StreamYard, have you heard it? Yeah, sure. But what I want to ask you as well is some kind of rule or citation quote that I try always to follow, and this is about that the leader eats last, and that's like you wait with your work, you wait with your inputs, your wishes, and so on until everyone else in team is satisfied. Now my question is, what do you think about such a rule? Do you like it, or do you see some trade-offs?
Yeah, like there are always some trade-offs, especially with such strict rule as you defined. But I agree to this quote, I think, to a point, because like the last responsibility of a tech lead, is the cooperation with the team to help them become the best version of themselves, to improve their skills, to improve their way of working, to share some mental models, to mentor, guide them, etc. And what is associated with that is this approach of leader eats last, because usually there are some bits in the work of a team that are most developing, that are most challenging, that are most interesting. You work on some new technology, etc. And you want to delegate, you want to give your team an option to actually like do it, to let the whole team develop, not only you. Like it's another anti-pattern of being a tech lead, where you take all the interesting bits for yourself and you only leave these glue work, these like smaller and interesting bits for the other people. So like in the longer run, this approach will lead to being a bottleneck within the team, that you will become a bottleneck. With this approach, leader eats last. You will let this bottleneck you will remove this bottleneck, because the whole team will learn, the whole team will develop, and you will end up with people who are maybe better with you in some aspects, but you will end up with a team that is much better as a whole. So it's a proper approach.
One thing here, because you mentioned that everything has trade-offs, yes, and going with strict rules is also for sure having some trade-offs. And something that I wanted to mention here, that even though this citation of the leader it's last, it's a thing sometimes to as well step in front. So sometimes there are things that entire team is really afraid of. They are afraid of touching it because it's a lot of risk and so on. And here is as well your role to handle such things, because you can't wait, you can't be silent, you need to step up in front.
Yeah, you need to act.
Yeah. Thanks for your input, Radek.
Yeah, and like to discuss trade-offs, like I think that the trade-off is like that like some bits of work needs to be done very quickly, or like needs to be done without like associating particular so I with accepting some technical business trade-offs, and with this approach either is lost. Sometimes you will act more on a benefits on a team rather than your own benefits on some other parties. So I think it's like using this phrase, this approach is also about the trade-offs, whether you want to like put your team first, and in most situations, Pareto, like in 80-90 situations, you should. In some others, you should also like think about yourself.
Up to the point. So we talked before that you just described that there are usually these two types of tech lead roles between organizations. One, the role is giving this feedback, is maybe doing some OKRs, KPIs, discussions with the team, and so on. A lot of soft skills required. On the other hand, we have this technical role of a tech lead. And let's move to this technical role of a tech lead and ask about a soft skill that is maybe needed, maybe not, which is called feedback. Do I need to be good in giving a feedback to my teammate, developers, or should I always wait for them if they ask, hey, I would like to get a feedback?
I would say that regardless of the fact that like you manage the people, it's still worth like learn how to give constructive feedback to your friends, to your teammates, because like because the work within the team is not only about some feedback regarding to some like activities or some attitudes, but also about the design, the solutions, the pattern that we choose. And even within this technical area, you should be able to know how to criticize somebody else's work, but also to say how to contract a positive feedback about specific designs or specific solutions that were delivered. So like I think it's not strictly connected to managing people, but all leaders would benefit a lot from learning how to give a constructive feedback.
A lot of different things, we talked about the soft skills, we talked about technical things. Now you said that, it is worth for every leader to just have such skills like giving a feedback and so on.
Yeah.
And I think this would be one of the most important questions, or maybe the most important question of today's interview.
Maybe I'll write it down. Okay, yeah, carry on.
How to stay up to date with all this stuff as a tech lead, because we have a lot of roles combined in this tech lead role. So probably your 8 hours during a day, they are full of work. So now, how to stay up to date as a technical lead?
Okay, so first thing that I could recommend here is to have a recommendation net. So for example, you should be very deliberate in what you follow, what you read. So for example, I can recommend you the newsletter of Oskar Dudzic about architecture weekly, probably something like that. But it's only an example. But it's the it's a very high quality material that we can very quickly go through and to get some insights, some news about the current trends, etc. So I would say that we should be very deliberate about what we read, what we follow, to avoid all this clutter around. So it's the first advice, and the second would be connected to that. It's about managing your time properly to have this time to go deeply into specific like materials, books, etc. Not to be distracted by all the Slack messages, etc. So, for example, from my perspective, I organized weekly or bi-weekly, I spend 1 hour or 2 hours to go through all materials that came to my list without any distraction. So I closed Slack, Outlook, I turn off my mobile phone, and I just read, analyze, gather all this knowledge. So if there is this quote that if you don't manage your time, like everything else will manage it itself. So like you need to be very strict about like what you allow to be done within your day, and sometimes you need time for yourself, but nobody will do it like for you. Like you need to be very strict about, okay, for this hour I don't allow any distraction. I'm just reading that.
I can absolutely agree with you. Had the same problem in the past, that I was always distracted by something when trying to read, trying to focus, and sometimes these articles that you read or the video episodes that you watch, they are so complex that you need to stay really focused. And when there is a beep because Slack message came, or Teams message came, or someone just commented something on LinkedIn or wrote you on LinkedIn or so, then you get distracted easily, and then you need again.
And you lose all these dots. You lost this understanding.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, and it's like maybe one last bit here. I think it's like worth having this habit of like getting through material at some point of the day. For example, me, I read a lot, but I have this habit of reading before going to sleep. So it helps me, with falling asleep, but at the same time, I really go through a lot of materials because of that. So I spend about 15-20 minutes before like falling asleep. And because of that, I read like I read all of these books because of that, because I have very specific point of day where I read.
Yeah, and I think to our listeners, if you would like to do something similar, you don't need to start with this 15 minutes like Radek does, or 20 or half an hour. You can just start with 5 minutes. Just start with the Atomic Habit.
Yeah, probably somewhere here also there is this book. Yes, I strongly recommend, when you have problems with introducing a new habit to your life, the book Atomic Habits is a great lecture to start with.
Yes.
But there is this hole here, but that you need to read a book to know how to read a book. So like there is this loop, vicious circle there, and like let's continue.
But yes, still it's possible. And one of the learning materials, because you mentioned that you can join some newsletter like Architecture Weekly that you mentioned from Oscar, or you can even go to Learn Software Architecture channel or a Discord channel where we are discussing all these topics around software architecture. And there are as well topics around being a tech lead, tech leadership, and so on. And
I strongly recommend joining Maciej's channel, because he's an expert in the software architecture and you can learn a lot from him.
Oh no, I don't know what I should say right now, but thanks Radek for your kind words.
The same that you said early in the beginning that I'm IT guru. I also didn't know what to say, so yeah.
you are an IT guru.
A little at the beginning, so yeah.
And I would like to thank you, Radek, for today's interview. It was a pleasure to have you here. You were the first guest, and you can imagine being a first guest in some kind of channel or program. It's something really cool, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of like the very engaging option to be here. So thanks for that. And hopefully I will jump in with another for another episode with some book to describe and to discuss.
We can take as well as part of my books, but I don't think that I have some English materials on being tech leaders. I think I have some books which are by Polish authors, but yeah, we can maybe link it as well. So one more time, thank you, Radek. Again, it was a pleasure. And guys, the next live interview will be held in April. I don't want to spoil the guest. I should say in which area he operates, but it would be a huge spoiler and you would notice it immediately. So I don't want to do that, but he's really the guru in the area that we will be talking about. So be prepared, stay tuned. In April, we hear each other during live interview with this guest. And in the meantime, as mentioned in the episode number 0, that was introductory for this software channel, I will just release 2 or 3 more episodes talking about some software architectural topic. Thank you very much. Have a great evening or afternoon, and see you in the next episode.
See ya.